Happy Friday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of You've Gotta Be Sha Tinning Me. I am joined as always by Mr. Matt Carlson. Matt, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing okay. It was a Hong Kongless week, I guess, with Happy Valley getting canceled on Wednesday, and then even last week, you know, we capped the pick three, and they ran all of one race out of that sequence. So I think though officially, like I hit, so because they paid for all, so that's a win, right? We count those.
I mean, hey, sometimes you just gotta take what they give you, you know?
I mean, 240 for every $2 you bet. Why not? Whatever.
You ever see, I've seen like a new thing on Twitter where like people will put like if you saw $25 on the ground you'd pick it up, right? And it's like them like betting like $100 on like a minus 300, or minus 400 play or something like that, and it's like so stupid. But hey, free money, right?
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, and unfortunately I missed the first race, so I did not cash, and in fact I ended up losing my bet there. And as usual, um well, not as usual, but that's the second time in the last year where I've woken up to check my bets and have not understood what happened. The other time it happened was the time when you messaged me like at like
The
five in
tote
the
stuff.
morning, and
Yeah,
you're like, you're
yeah.
gonna be real mad when you wake up. And I'm like, and I look and I'm like, what am I mad about? And I'm like, oh, my pick three lost or whatever. And I put them together and I'm like, oh, I hit that. Um, yeah, it was uh, but out the computer wagers out of the win pool. Yet still, I believe had a horse go from like 12 to 1 to like 6 to 1 after the gates popped today. So um, work in progress. Apparently, we're making baby steps here. But I don't know. Outside of well, obviously Hong Kong was what didn't run this last week. So you've been playing anything else or?
No, not really. I lost a couple football bets. I think I blew like $50 playing, Belmont and Aqueduct today. And I don't know. I should never play that shit. I just don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like I for something that I watch a fair amount, like I just don't know how to cap it. But yeah, no, it's been a light week. Just kind of saving up, and work's been busy, life's been busy. So gambling's taking a back seat. But
I hear that. I will tell you, shout out to Vegas yesterday, nailing the over under and nailing. Uh, I think I had the over, and then I had like two guys over a certain amount of yards, and I think all of them missed 1 yard. And I hit in the see the and it ended. So um I just, they didn't build those big, pretty buildings, with all the money they gave away. So, um, I don't know, man. That was probably one of the just, I don't know. That was probably one of the most ridiculous things I've seen as far as lines are concerned. But we move on, right? And we move on to this late pick three here. And Matt, I looked at race 9 that's going to start this late pick three. This race looks very familiar.
that it does. Did you recap it with the question mark? Like, did you have the same question mark and then realize it was a different race?
I
Or
just copied it. I copied because I looked through this and I was like, wait a second. So I just copied my notes from this from last week. But
uh,
1,200 meters here, race 9. We have Class 2 racing. Matt, I'll let you go first here. Where did you land here?
yeah, I mean, my horse is still going to be Brilliant Express. I still don't like this race. I mean, again, I think it's not a field that inspires much confidence. I think I'm still using the Two Gorgeous Win, but it's reluctant. I thought Brilliant Express was just it was the low weight, right? And it was the kind of loser of the draw lottery the past three. And I thought, hey, realistically, it hasn't run a bad race since. So I don't know what you get on this horse, but I do think, of any in here, it's at least got some upside. So we'll see, right? And I think, the 2 and the 11 were my A's in here. I was somewhat confident in those. And then my B was like the absolute bomb of this race in the 7 and Brave Star. And, again, I think that was just one of those where I was like, okay, it ran in a really strong field, what, three back. Um, that one Sha Tin race, I think a lot of horses had come back to win out of that field. So I was like, okay, it ran well. It ran at 105 to 1, but hey, maybe, right? I don't know who else to really take in this race. So I think I was 2 and 11 as A's and 7 as B's. I'm just going to stick with that. I don't know. Maybe the extra week of rest for Harmony and Blessed means I should bet him instead. If you're going to change opinions on this race at all, like I would say, okay, a couple horses were running back pretty quick out of that race, and now they have another week under their belt. So those thoughts kind of go away. But I didn't really change much of my opinion from last time.
Did you say blood?
I knew I couldn't bet it. So yeah.
I'm gonna stick with Harmony and Blessed here as my top. Um, Zach here. Um, Much softer field than last time out. Much better draw. Obviously, he's going to pick up a little bit of weight here, but I think is going to be running with just a better group here for him. I like the two Gorgeous Win as well, which is a horse I know you liked in the spot. Um, gets Hugh Bowman aboard here, and it was like 1,000,000 to 1 last time out, but once again, this is another one that I think is just dropping into much softer company than he's been running against. So I think Gorgeous Wind makes a ton of sense here. But if you guys listen to us every week, you guys heard us talk about these same same exact field last week. So we'll just we'll kind of move on here to race 10. We got class 3 racing going 1,400 meters. Um, and, I landed on 1A in this spot, and that's the 11 co-partner fleet. Um, I looked at this field and I'm looking at the track, right? We're going to be rails out here. We got the C+3. Rails are going to be out a little bit. Co-partner fleet on speed in all three of his starts. Pearson, who is an aggressive jock, like, get his horse out of the gate clean, and he's drawn well, drawn in the same spot that he was when Zach rode this horse in wire fashion and won by 3/4 of a length in that race. So I do think getting back to the inside draw here, getting Karis Teton aboard. I think that's going to work out well for this horse here. I think last time, right, it was first time in class 3, got a jock downgrade, got Matthew Poon aboard, who's fine, right? But at Happy Valley's kind of weird. I feel like speed's not always all that great at Happy Valley. It's kind of a weird track a little bit, but I much prefer him here with the rails out and inside drawn. So I like co-partner fleet in this spot. And then my lone B is the 2 Beauty Crescent, who I'm gonna guess is gonna take some money here. Um, this horse hasn't taken money in his last two starts, right? He's been 8 to 1 both times and has basically won pretty handily in both those. So I did think that he's going to kind of get a similar trip I think he's gotten in the last two, right? I think he's going to be able to track off the pace here. And I just think if he's good enough, he can go win here. The only question is he's 9 pounds after that last win. And though drawn, I mean, I at some but I don't know. I still have him as a B in this spot. Um, So I'm gonna use him, Beauty Crescent as a B, and I got Co-Partner Fleet as my lone A. Matt, where did you land here?
Yeah, I thought this race kind of start and stop with the 7. I thought he's going to be mega short, right? I mean, Zach's up. He looked like one of a couple horses that just fit in this race, and I didn't think there was too many others that had much of a chance to win. Even like that 11 that you pointed out, right? Part of the reason I think he could fit, but probably doesn't in my mind, is the fact that Zach hops off and hops to the 7. So I think the 7 will be my lone A in here. You're not going to get a price on this horse. Like I can confidently say this horse probably goes off, maybe odds on even. I think he's going to be that short. I do think he's worth it, right? I mean, the trials have looked consistently good. Oh, by the way, you get Ed Zenny off, which is always a good angle to me. You know, you're not going to get a price on this horse, but I do think you can key it in here and run through. The only B that I wanted to use in here, I think, was the 4 in Gorgon. He really hasn't gotten a draw yet. That's the only reason that I feel compelled to use him. He's never been drawn inside 8 and finally does get a draw in the 4 slot. He's ran okay. I just think it's one that you don't know what he's capable of just yet. And so maybe he can show something. My concern is that Jimmy Orman's up, and Jimmy Orman's 1 for 45 at 1,400. So that's not great. It doesn't inspire much confidence. I do think he's worth a B because I don't think he's going to take any money in here at all. And I think, you know, you've seen the odds that that horse has gone off at. If he goes off close to that and finally gets a draw, there's at least a maybe in there that this horse has some ability that he hasn't been able to show just yet. You know, 4-year-old horse, young, finally getting drawn inside the 8 post. Always worth a shot to me. But I do think this race probably starts and stops with the 7, and that'll be kind of my lone A in here.
All right, and then race 11. We got Class 3 racing here. 1,600 meters. Got the one-turn mile. Where did you land here?
Probably a bit on the chalk again, to be honest with you. I like the 5 Beauty Bolt mostly. I think, again, he's going to be short. Zach's up, right? He probably is just a goods, and that he's never ran a bad race. You know, there's not much to say, right? He ran handily. He won handily at the end of last season. There's no reason to believe that he's not going to continue to progress upward and just, you know, dominate this field. Again, you're not going to get any price on that horse. The sequence is going to pay if you bet that horse, probably, but I think he's worthy of using. The other A that I'll go, and probably if I had to win bet this race, the horse that I would definitely place a win bet on is the 7 Panacea. I think, you know, yeah, okay, David Probert doesn't have a win yet in Hong Kong, and he definitely doesn't win at the distance. And yeah, this horse finished up the track first out. But I think if you look at that race, it wasn't too bad. You know, for the run line, he at least showed something after a rough start. The trials looked really good. And I do think, right, like I like the fact that this horse ran a full mile in trials, to be honest with you, right? If you look horses that kind of are able to run a full 1,600 in their trial up, to me, get a little bit better fitness, right? Better than horses who haven't run yet this season. And so I think he might have a little bit of an advantage. I think he's going to run better than he showed last out. I think you're going to get a huge price just based on the jockey and based on the fact that he didn't show anything first up. And I'm willing to give him a shot, right? In what I think is probably a weak field. So I'll probably have a not a huge win bet, but an okay win bet on the 7, you know, and he'll be my other A in here along with the 5. And then the only B I used was the 6 in aestheticism. I think it's odd, and I don't know what to make of this horse. Obviously, you have Brittany Wong up. I don't really know what to make of that either. They've been running this horse exclusively at 2 turns. They've been running him at Happy Valley, and then, you know, I think mix in a couple Sha Tin races at, you know, 2,000 meters. And I really can't figure out why, because this horse has 4 wins lifetime and 3 of them are at 1,600. And so I don't really know what to expect out of this horse. Part of me is like, hey, look, the record suggests that this horse should like 1,600 better. All his wins and places pretty much come at the distance. On the other hand, you know, it's one thing to see a horse run in the wrong distance a couple times to try and maybe move down weight or game the system or move down in class. When you do that for 12 straight races, it kind of suggests to me that you don't think this horse can run 1,600 meters. Data suggests otherwise, but connections are kind of not suggesting that he's going to run well here. So I don't know what to make of this horse at all. We'll see. I do think he's worthy of a use. I think the weight break definitely helps him. I think the prior history and the wins at the distance definitely suggest maybe there's something there. I'll throw it in. I'm not overly confident in that play, but again, I don't see much else in this field, and that horse does fit just on the things that I run. So I'll use most of the 5 and the 7. Again, win bet to 7, and I'll toss in the 6 in case, hey, he shows something and says, by the way, I should be running on a mile. Please stop putting me in these weird ass 2 turn races. So,
Yeah, I basically saw this race. Well, I saw this race very similar to. I think the 5 is my lone A in the spot. I do have two horses as Bs because I always like to have some additional coverage in this last leg because it does pay the consolation. Um, I guess we'll start with the 10 Endeared. Um, this is kind of a horse that has shown some of us. I thought that this is a horse that we might see a little bit of improvement with, uh, with the stretch out. Um, and this is the first time he's going to run this 1 turn mile on the turf. So, I think kind of trying something new here, getting the rail, getting Alexi Bedell aboard. I thought that maybe you could see a little bit of improvement with this horse. So I thought the 10 Endeared was a little interesting here as a B type. And then the 3 Snowfield. He's a horse that kind of came in here straight into class 2 and maybe just in over his head a little bit to start out, and you kind of saw he ran okay, and finally he basically finished out the back, and they dropped him down, and then I think the last race is showed him finishing 12th out of 13th, but I don't think it was maybe bad as it looked. I think there was a little bit of trouble there, right? The horses kind of got left there. So I think this is a horse that you're going to get a good price on. I think he actually decently back last time, being dropping in class. He was at 9-1. So I do think that there's something here with this horse. I think you're going to get a pretty bomb price on him, and I do think that this could be one that, uh, if he gets kind of a clean trip, maybe is one that might be able to surprise here a little bit. So, um, I got the 5 Beauty Bolt as a lone A, and then I'm going to use the 3 Snowfield and the 10 Endeared as Bs. Um, but for my kind of bonus race here, I went. Oh man, I'm scrolling. Where the heck did I go? Did I go to race 6? Yeah, I went to race 6. Um, we got a 1400-meter race here, the Taylor Bird Handicap, Class 4 racing, and you know, I, I, when I come to these races, I'm kind of like, all right, where's Zach at? Zach's on the 6 Conspiracy Witness, and this is a horse that's had 2 tries at 1400 meters and didn't really seem to like running at 1400 meters. And this isn't a horse that's really shown much. So I think this is kind of one of those horses that's going to take money just because Zach's old. Um, I mean, it's a horse that was 30 to this time, and Zach, I mean, this horse is going to be 6 or 7 to 1, right? When he probably should still be 30 to 1. So I do think that there's a potential here for some overlays, just because of the fact that Zach's on that horse. Um, so I landed on the 13 colorful winner here. And this is a horse that has shown a lot actually going uh 1400 meters. And last time out, first time up for the season was at 1200 and kind of finished out the back there. You see the note kind of tough trip. Um, so, I don't know if the horse just kind of needed a race, but, I wasn't really, I'm not really too concerned about that. Now this is the horse that's giving up 9 pounds, right? Because it's getting the 7 pounds with Brittany Wong aboard. And if you kind of go back to the end of season races last year, um, I looking at those races, I think with the 7 pound allowance, those are winning races, right? So I think at 1400 run uh, under a belt here, and I do think that's probably enough to turn into a winning effort. You don't know what price you're going to get. I'm kind of hoping the last effort kind of scares some people away, and the fact that Zach is, on some bomb that people are gonna is just gonna end up taking some money. So I'm hoping to get 6 or 7 to 1 here on Colorful Winter, but we'll kind of see here. But where did you land, Matt?
I did the stupid thing and I went to race two because I wanted to play
Yes.
the 1,000 meter race,
Mm-hmm.
which I absolutely hate and I shouldn't do that, but I did it anyway. And I probably went to the obvious choice. I just went to the outside post in the one top throne, right? And I think what's kind of keying me on that is I think this is only the second 1,000 meter race of the year. I think they ran one. And I think the first time they ran, it was won by a $60 winner who basically was under similar circumstances, right? Kind of ran from a post near the outside rail, got the lead, got on that outside rail, and just rode it all the way home and won by a couple lengths for, I forget, I think it was 30 something one. I mean, look, this horse has always trialed well. I do think the fact that he's only run at 1,200 and kind of basically faded out the back every time might scare some people off. And I'm hoping this is just one of those horses that can't turn, right? You look, I mean, he has really speed. He's going to get the lead. He's going to get the rail. Teton's going to send. And I don't know what price you get, but I think, the drop in class helps. You know, the top draw basically helps. Teton, I don't think has a win at 1,000 meters. That doesn't necessarily help, but I'm going to try it anyway, right? I'm going to think, hey, there's just such a ridiculous bias early in the season. The rain's going to even help promote that a little more. Hopefully he just gets on the rail and goes and is kind of taking a little bit of a step forward in his 4-year-old season here and just goes wire to wire. We'll see, but that's where I'm going to go from a top selection in here is the 1,000 meter race that I've come out previously and said, hey, you should never really have a top selection in a 1,000 meter race, so don't listen to what I say.
I wanted to go there. I looked at this horse and I'm like, man, this horse has run up the track the last 2 times, but he's drawn outside. He's drawn outside, and he's ran up the track going 1,200 with that draw.
Yep.
So he's getting the good draw here. Like I'm curious what price you get on this horse.
Yeah, if it's too low, I mean, back out of this because I don't think you should take any horse under a certain amount. And look, he's taking money the first few as well, but hopefully people just quit him and he gets lost in the shuffle. Maybe.
Well, do it for us here on a TV version of UW Sha Tin. Helps when there's really have to cap. But check us out at onthewronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. I am at Cherry Drank. Matt is at Slow and Steady. You can check him out on Twitter with all of his picks. Sometime tomorrow he'll get them up. But
Maybe later.
good luck, everybody. Let's make some money.